John Cordy, and frustratingly you've put the shopping list in completely random orders, so I'm going to have to go around the store and work out kind of where you got onion rings next to milk, and that's just not how the store's laid out, obviously. Today's Monday, and that means that I give you a lick, or give us a lick to work on. Today I wanted to talk about an alternate picking thing, or show you an alternate picking thing, and it's from the jazz world, and it's from Jonathan Kreisberg. There's a version that he did of Have You Met Miss Jones, which is a really cool jazz tune if you've not heard it before, but for solo guitar, and he plays this little lick in the middle of it. Which is a really, really good alternate picking warm-up and workout. So I just wanted to show you that and talk you through a bit of it. It also kind of has all of the bits and pieces that I think make a thing sound like jazz, but also make a thing sound not boring. And it's got loads of different little pieces of stuff, which I guess we can talk about. But things like chromaticism, things like arpeggios. So I kind of think it's the perfect thing. So, if you've not heard Have You Met Miss Jones, it's something like this. So it's a really cool jazz tune and is played like up tempo. Jonathan Kreisberg does a thing where he's sort of playing it quite fast and quite straight instead of swinging it. But so let's talk about this thing. So we're in F, and we're starting on the third of F, which is A, and we do this normal, which is kind of a classic sounding jazz thing. So if you only worked on one thing, even just that little one thing is kind of cool. So basically what you're doing, this very first phrase to me kind of sounds pretty jazzy and pretty classic. You're working from the third down to the F sharp, so sort of implying to the G minor, and then working back to the third. Starting on like the third of the F, we've got the F sharp, so we're sort of implying that we've got a D, and then a G minor, and then that coming from the altered scale. So I think that's a really cool little phrase, so let's just continue. We're alternate picking everything, don't forget. Again, a really classic. That's just a really classic kind of bit of jazz phrasing. So we're starting on the 2 of F, so with a G. And then the next part, we're moving through the chromatic scale in a really kind of I think, musical way. And then each time that we've got the upstroke, which is kind of accenting and giving us that rhythmic. So you could work on accenting that, which is again one of those cool things that you can do initially when you're practicing alternate pick and you want it to be even, but then with this kind of phrase, I think it makes sense to try and accent the notes and bring in some of that rhythm. So and then at the very end we got these 2 arpeggios, so let's just get there. We're starting with a downstroke again, and we're going to play up a major 7 arpeggio, and then we're going to play down the major 7 arpeggio, which is a chromatic above. So we're starting with a B flat major 7, and then descending through a B major, and ending up on the B flat. So this arpeggio bit is actually the part that I find most difficult to pick accurately, because you've got kind of irregular kind of stuff going on and inside picking. So maybe this is the bit that requires most attention. So you can make a little exercise out of that even. That might be something fun you could do with that, and would be a really good workout for your right hand if you're working on trying to get more control over your picking hand. So that's just a little thing that I really like in Jonathan Kreisberg's playing, and I think is really good workout for the right and left hand, and also has a bunch of stuff in there which sounds like jazz, so you could break it down into tiny parts, and so it's got a load of stuff in there which sounds to me like jazz, whatever that means. So it might be worth splitting the lick apart even, and just practicing moving little fragments around. And get more even out of the lick in that way. Hopefully this is a lick that some of you are going to find interesting. And I think if you're interested in jazz, it's probably a really cool lick. Even if you're not interested in jazz, I think it's worth trying to get your hands around this thing and see if you can make that sound kind of musical and flowing, and you know, try and get the picking to sound even. I think it's a really cool one. The tab for it will be on Patreon if you want it. And also, if you didn't want to support me in the long term, but you wanted to say thank you for this one or whatever, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link, but only use that if you're finding my stuff useful and getting something out of it. It's just a way to let me know that you want me to continue to do this stuff. But only do that if you can really afford to, and if you've found something useful in my videos recently or whatever. But yeah, the tab will be on Patreon for this specific lick. And yeah, let's see you working on it and see if you can get anything out of it. I know for me, I'm going to be using this kind of daily as a thing to try and lock in the left and right hand and try and get things to sound musical as quickly as possible. And probably even make little smaller exercises out of that bigger thing. So yeah, hopefully this was useful. If it was, if you could do the like and subscribe thing, maybe share it to a friend of yours or something. But thank you for watching and thank you for your support. Cheers.